Hi all, now we are going to check another question. So the question is explain with the help of a diagram how the prices of a product moves to new equilibrium following decrease in the supply. So the question is related to change in supply and the change in demand due to change in supply. Okay. So it is specifically mentioned that the supply is decreased. Okay. So what do you mean by supply of a product in the market? So supply basically means the ability or willingness of the producers to supply something, right? To supply a specific quantity of particular good in the market. That is what we call as supply. So when the supply of a product decreases, what does it mean? It means that producers are willing or able to supply less at every price level. Okay. So it's not only at a particular price level. If the supply curve has to shift, whether it is to left or right, whether it is decreases or increases, it should be based on each and every price level provided. Okay. So here it will be less. Okay, less quantity supplied at the each price level. So how the graph will change, right or left? So when there is a decrease, the graph will definitely shift to left. Okay. So this causes the supply curve to shift leftward. Okay. So our initial curve was S1. Okay, let's take it as S1. So our initial supply curve was S1 and the new supply curve is S2. Okay. So the curve is shifted leftward and the demand curve remains the same. That is demand curve is D. Okay. So initially when the supply curve was S1, what was the equilibrium? This point was the equilibrium, right? Let's take it as E1. Okay. So at E1, what was the price? P1. And what was the quantity? Q1. Okay. And when the supply curve shifted to left side, that is decreases supply at each price level, right? It creates another equilibrium with the initial demand curve. So let's name it as E2. Okay. So this is our E2. And what is the price level here? P2. And what is the equilibrium quantity? Q2. So as you can see here, the equilibrium quantity has decreased and the price has increased. Okay. So that is the change we could see here, right? So let's check about it. So the initial equilibrium, the market is initially at the equilibrium point E1, right? This is the equilibrium point E1, where the demand is D and the that intersect the supply curve S, right? And this determines the original price P1 and the quantity Q, right? And then what happened? The supply decreased, right? So due to factors like why the supply decreased, that is what we are going to discuss. High production cost or taxes or fewer resources. All these will cause the supply to decrease. Okay. So just imagine that the production costs like the wages, maybe the electricity bill, the price of raw materials, right? If any of that increases, definitely the price of the product or the production cost will be increasing, right? As a result, either they have to increase the price or decrease the quantity. So even if they try to increase, it may not be like that efficient. Okay, so first decision will be like they might reduce the supply if they are not able to produce like the otherwise. Okay, so the initial production they won't be able to do that. So they will be reducing the production. Okay, and maybe due to the taxes. So we have already studied how the taxes might change it, right? So when the taxes are added, the price of the product will automatically increase. So sometimes the product won't be sold properly in the market, so they might have to reduce the production. And also when the resources are not available properly, so if there is no raw material, like no resources are properly available, they can't do the production, right? So definitely it will decrease the production. So all these can reduce the production. Okay. So that the supply will be decreased. So that is what happened with. So the supply curve shift from S1 to S2. Okay. So now let's see what will be the outcome. So shortage has the original price. Okay. So just imagine that this let's check the original price. Okay, P1. So if the price is still P1, what is the demand here? This much demand is there, right? At this price, the demand is this. But okay, in this case, there won't be only this much supply, right? So this difference is the shortage. Okay, so at the P1, what is happening there? the demand is this much. Okay, so this is price, right? This is P1. So this is the demand. Okay, and what is the supply? This much. So this is a shortage. So at original price P1, quantity demanded exceeds quantity supply. This will create a shortage at this market, right? So what will happen when a product is highly demanded but it's not properly available? Definitely, due to high demand, the price might hike, right? That is a very common phenomena in our markets, right? For example, just imagine that some sort of thing got popularized all of a sudden, and definitely the stocks will be clearing out. So the product will be marked as highly demanded or highly like marketable, right? So as a result, what will happen? So the thing is that supply cannot be adjusted as soon as like the demand. Okay, the demand might change fast. Today, like we'll have a lot of demand for one product. Tomorrow, it can change. But for supply, it's a huge process, right? So when a supply has to be increased, it should be increased from the very bottom level, from the factories by arranging more raw materials, more resources. So it's not easy to supply more all of a sudden. Okay, so they can just adjust with the stock they have, right? So it's not that much easy to arrange for supply within a short span of time. Okay, so that's not possible. So when the demand is high and the supply has reduced, definitely for the available product there will be huge demand, right? So the producers will increase the price. So those who are willing to buy it at a higher price can buy that. So that is what we call as upward pressure on the price. Because of the shortage, consumers compete for the limited goods, right? So this pushes the price upward. So when more people are willing to buy the product at any price, they will definitely increase the price. So, as we saw before, the new equilibrium will be formed. The market settles at a new equilibrium point called E2. So, here you can see that E2, right? And what is the price here? P2. So, it's comparatively higher than the quantity, like initial price, right? And what about the quantity? It is less than the initial quantity. Okay. So, where the demand curve intersect S2 and the new equilibrium price has higher price and lower quantity, right? So, this is how it happened. So, we got the answer for the question. This is how the product moves to a new equilibrium following a decrease in its supply. Okay.